Hello everyone, you're welcome to this edition of The Inside. I am Babla Jonathan. We're coming to you from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. In this edition of the program, we are analyzing the socio-political climate in the Republic of Cameroon, which remains very volatile. Uncertainty, fear, tension looming over the nation after the post-election protests that erupted following the proclamation of official results of the October 12, 2025 presidential election by the Constitutional Council, a result that showed President Paul Biya winning with more than 53% of the vote, a result contested by Issa Chiruma Bakari, candidate of the Cameroon National Salvation Front, who had declared himself winner before the official proclamation of results of the October 12, 2025 presidential election, leading to protests in the streets of the country's major cities. And of course, the protests have already led to the death of several persons. Several others have been injured. Enormous material damage recorded here in the country's economic capital, Douala, in Garoua, in Gaoundéré, in Maroua, in Bafoussam, and other parts of the country. Protests have been going on. The protesters hitting the streets demanding for the victory of Issa Chiruma Bakari. Better still, the truth of the ballot box, and they believe that the truth of the ballot box is the victory of Issa Chiruma Bakari. And there is still tension prevailing in the country. Business brought to a standstill in several parts of the country as a result of the uncertainty and fear looming within the context of the post-election protests. We are looking at these issues happening in the Republic of Cameroon, and we are also projecting into the future, looking at how to come out of this situation, how to restore peace and democratic order in Cameroon and move the country, of course, to a better situation. Meet our guest in some few seconds. Our guest today is Michael Takie, chairman of the Coalition of Cameroon Federalist Groups and Activists, CCFGA. He's joining us from London. Welcome to the program, Michael.
Thank you very much, Mr. Babila. Thank you for having me, and hello to our dear listeners.
You and your organization, the Coalition of Cameroon Federalist Groups and Activists, CCFGA, have been closely monitoring the situation in your home country from outside. Now, tell us, what is your reading of the current situation of the country?
Thank you very much. I think before I even proceed, I want to express my heartfelt condolence to the families whose loved ones have lost their lives. It's unfortunate that we are at this kind of a situation once again. When I say once again, because we've been there before, especially with the situation in the North and Southwest region. You would have thought that the government or the regime that be would understand and learn a lesson from what is going on in the North and Southwest regions. But that doesn't seem to be the case. Now we are having the chaos that is happening right now is in a way that I think a lot of people are losing their lives. When the president-elect, Mr. Issa Chiruma Bakari, asked for peaceful demonstration, unfortunately, there are always situations like this. And before even that, he had already called for the security officials, the gendarmerie, the military, and the police officers to express some sort of restraint, to understand that the people are on, their side. But you see, what's happening now is typical of the regime, which is very, very heavy-handed on their own people. I mean, it's a shame. It's a shame that we have military that are supposed to be looking after the people, killing them instead.
And the situation remains quite volatile, as I said earlier. The protest took a violent twist in the city of Douala. in the Garwa, in Marwa, in Gaundari, in other parts of the country, following the response from the forces of law and order who used tear gas to disperse the protesters, and in some cases firing live bullets, and of course leading to the death of several persons. What you think about this response of the forces of law and order to what is constitutionally the right of Cameroonians? I'm talking about the right to protest.
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate once again. Cameroonians have the right to protest. They have the right to express. It's their democratic right to express their feeling with the results of the last presidential election. It is their human right. They have a right to protest, and I'm sure the regime understands. The military understand. The police understand. The gendarmerie understand. So I do not see why they are so heavy-handed on people who are, the people are just demonstrating, and to be said in such a provocative way that ends up using alternative for them to turn their guns on their own citizens, their own brothers and sisters. It's something that they should be very, very ashamed of themselves, because you cannot say that they were not warned about this. They've been warned, and I'm sure even during their training, they're taught on how to handle a civil protest. These protesters have no weapons. They have no conventional weapons, and I don't understand how you would go out there with a weapon, a deadly weapon like their machine guns, to restrain people in the street in that number, if you're not going there intentionally to cause harm. So it's unfortunate, and I think the military or the officials, the security officials that are carrying weapons, they should be very, very shameful of themselves. They should think again and understand that these are not people from a different country. The military, for example, are supposed to be protecting their own citizens against a foreign intruder, but instead they're using weapons against the very people that they're supposed to protect. So it's something that is highly, highly condemnable, and this needs to be thoroughly investigated and bring those who broke the law into justice. I know people they say that the international community completely condemns this and asks for some sort of thorough investigation. But I also understand that this very regime, to them, is like music in their ears. They don't care, because their intention is to cause maximum harm and fear upon the people that are already alienated by the results of this presidential election. It's very, very sad, Babila, to be honest. It is very sad, Mr. Jonathan. I think this should stop. It should stop immediately, and those who are perpetrating these acts should be called to order.
Right, the Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, and Human Rights Watch have called for independent investigations, and of course that those who are found guilty of having violated the law as far as public protests and the response to public protests is concerned should be brought to book. Apart from being a constitutional right, it is also enshrined in international laws, and the right to protest is protected in international law through the right to freedom of expression, peaceful assembly and association, as outlined in the treaties like the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. And of course, this right is fundamental and applies to all people, but it is not absolute, and any restrictions must be legal, necessary, and proportionate. And of course, governments have a duty to protect peaceful protesters and ensure that law enforcement officers or law enforcement uses force only as a last resort and in a proportionate manner. But the law enforcement officers and of course the administrative authorities highlighting the involvement in the protests of those they qualify as criminals, those they qualify as bandits, delinquents, and they are also highlighting the destruction recorded in the course of the protests, destruction of shops, looting of shops, destruction of filling stations, and so on, to justify the repressive arm of the law, better still, the repressive actions of forces and law and order, leading to the arrest of many of the protesters who are still in detention till now.
There is a very fine line here. If we have a peaceful demonstration, and it is very, very much understood that it's a peaceful demonstration, there is always likely to be some level of disobedience in this peaceful demonstration. However, that doesn't automatically lead to summary executions. It would be a professional conduct for you as the police officer to arrest these, I would say, whichever way you want to call it. If you were to go out there as a police officer to look after the people who are demonstrating, you are looking after the people who are demonstrating, even against themselves and against property destruction and other things. So you're not going there to kill people. If you go there to guide the protest, it is your responsibility to make sure those who perpetrate any act of violence get arrested and face the law. You are not supposed to summarily execute someone just because, for example, they are throwing water on a police officer. This is unacceptable. The reason why they go there is not to kill, but to make sure the demonstrations are properly conducted. And again, like I said, there are always lapses when this happens. But it shouldn't be that they go there to kill someone. So those who have, on the protesters' side, who break the law by doing things that are not described in the demonstration, these are the people who are supposed to face justice, not execution. These people are not supposed to face execution. Be they arsenal or they're breaking private businesses or they're looting, they are supposed to be arrested and prosecuted according to the law, but not executions. So the security officials may decide or may choose to give whatever reason. I think none of the reasons should be around executing someone just because maybe they looted a bag of rice. So this is very, very, very heavy punishment. Because of a bag of rice, you kill someone. That is not acceptable. And I believe very well that when they are trained as officials to look after the people, the community, they have boundaries. So whoever authorized them to carry out summary execution just because somebody stole a bag of rice or a bag of beans should be investigated. And we are not saying that these people who went about breaking property and setting some burning places are correct. But what we are saying is that the punishment that they give them should be equal to the crime. They should be punished according to their crime. They should be punished according to the law. And the law does not allow or tell the gendarme officer, the police officer, or the military officer to execute someone at short range. This is a crime, and they should be investigated just as well as the protesters that stray away from the peaceful demonstration. They should face justice.
Right. The government, notably through the Minister of Territorial Administration, is accusing the opposition, notably the opposition candidate Issa Chuma Bakari, to have incited the protest that we are seeing now, leading to the death of several persons and even threatening legal action against Issa Chiroma Bakari. But on the other side, the government is also accused of having orchestrated the protests, having provoked the protests through electoral fraud. What's your perspective of this whole thing?
Thank you. I think the Minister of Territorial Administration is making a mockery of himself. Mr. Atanganji is making a mockery of himself because from the onstart, I have never seen a communication from a minister that is civilized enough to the people that he is supposed to serve. Mr. Atanganji, he is not a boss. He is supposed to be the servant of the people. As a minister, he is supposed to know how to address his people, how to serve. He has been doing all this time. You cannot send heavily armed military officials to a civilian population and you expect the people not to panic, or you expect the people not to behave in such a way as though they want to defend themselves. Because this is what some of these things amount to. Some of the protesters, if you ask them, they will tell you that they got beat, they got terrorized, they got, you name it. And as a human being, the first thing you want to do is to react as though you are defending yourself. And the military that are sent by Mr. Atanganji, first of all, it's a very wrong idea. You will start by using the police because the police are trained to maintain civil, to handle civil unrest, not a military as if you are going into a war with a foreign country. You cannot be going into a war with your own citizen. So Minister Atanganji should very much try as much as he can, even though it's actually inherent in his nature, he should try as much as he can to reflect on most of his decisions, to reflect on how he serves his people. If he is looking for someone to blame, he should go and stand in front of the mirror and look at himself. Because he is a typical example. In fact, he takes the role of even the Minister of Communication. You have a very tense atmosphere as a Minister of Territorial Administration who serves the people. You should know how to calm them down than to inflame them with a lot of intimidation. I mean, I would say bullying and all whatnot. So this is something that I think, whatever reason, he knows his job description. And if he's executing this job description, he should not go beyond that description.
He's the minister of Territorial Administration, and definitely not the Minister of Defense or the Minister or the police boss. But what I'm concerned about is the fact that he thinks Issa Chiroma Bakari, by asking the people to go out to the streets and protest, which is of course a constitutional right, to take to the streets and defend their vote and defend their will, is synonymous to calling for an insurrection. And an insurrection
that is preposterous. That is I think that's ridiculous. Mr. Issa Chiroma Bakari tells the people to go and support their vote via a peaceful demonstration. This is completely away from insurrection. He made the descriptions quite clearly. Go and defend your votes via a peaceful demonstration. And this was in the prescription of even the beginning of this year's campaign. CCFGA itself, we also told the people that you go and register. After registration, you will go and vote. After voting, you make sure you defend your vote. This is not against the law. There is no law that prescribes that people should not defend their vote. It is their legal responsibility to make sure that they defend their investments. If you go and invest in a bank, it is your responsibility to make sure the bank runs your money appropriately and efficiently in a way that gives you profit. So there is no way you would expect Cameroonians to go and just dump their votes and disappear. protection of your vote is your responsibility. And that is what Mr. Issa Kiruma Bakare said. He just repeated what we already know, that you go and protect your vote. And if that means, if the protection of your vote means a peaceful demonstration, you're fine to do so. So when you have a situation where people premeditate violence, like the minister is doing, because you sending people or the military or the security officials to go against people who are demonstrating peacefully or people who have been told or asked to defend their votes. What do you think you're doing? You are inflaming a very tense atmosphere already. And the discussion here should have been, what did I do wrong? I shouldn't do it again on the side of the minister. But on the side of Mr. Issa Kiruma Bakare, I don't see anything wrong in that. In the whole world, there is no country in the world that does not allow for peaceful demonstration based on the reason why people think they are not happy with their government. So if you have a peaceful demonstration like the one that was by Mr. Issa Kiruma Bakare, it's not new. It's not something new. Cameroonians knew that this is what we're going to do, peacefully demonstrate. And of course, like I said before, unfortunately, you have cases where there are some spill out of the result of the demonstration and people misbehaving. But that doesn't mean that the whole purpose of that demonstration was to go and cause violence. It was a peaceful demonstration because the people had no weapons. They just go to the street to demonstrate and ask for the restoration of their votes at the polling station, which is what Mr. Issa Kiruma Bakare stands for. Votes at the polling station.
The administration and, of course, the ruling party, the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, at the level of the ruling party, they're saying this is an association and not the ones who proclaimed the result. At the level of the election management institutions, from Elections Cameroon through the National Vote Counting Commission right up to the Constitutional Council, they're saying that they respected the law and they carried on an electoral process which is qualified as hitch-free, despite a lot of reports and, of course, facts about ballot stuffing and all what happened in terms of electoral malpractices. But the process is generally qualified as acceptable, is said to have respected international, national and international standards. And of course, the Constitutional Council performed its duty of proclamation of the result. So, where is it coming from? Where is the protest coming from?
By the way, I want to say the Coalition of Cameroon Federalist Group, an activist, denounces and rejects the results or the proclamation of Mr. Paul Biya as the president of the 12th October 2025 elections. And our reasons are quite clear. We know that from the polling stations, Mr. Issa Kiruma Bakare won this election. We also noted that the CPDM or the regime's purported win is highly inflated, even in areas where there is high dispute or competition of the candidates that went into the election. You cannot imagine an area that till today the people should be ashamed of themselves, especially the elite. What I'm talking about is the north and southwest regions. This is an area.
You mean the northwest? You mean the northwest and southwest regions, right?
Yeah, the northwest and southwest regions. These areas are where the level of fraud is unimaginable, and this is what the Constitutional Council via ELECAM used to proclaim Mr. Biya as the winner. Already, you cannot by any means exonerate the CPDM from this process of fraud. They orchestrated everything, considering that there is a lot of evidence to prove that both ELECAM and the Constitutional Council are an arm of the government. So when you have such a huge dispute in terms of conflict of interest, then you would automatically have a very flawed system. The CPDM is equal to the Constitutional Council, is equal to ELECAM. And the people of Cameroon, I think all Cameroonians, even those that at least to be 5 years old, understand that these agencies are one and the same thing. So when you have a result that comes from such an institution or such institutions that is so flawed that even the blindest person could see, then you are opening the whole country or putting the whole country into a very huge dispute. For example, you have the Constitutional Council President, Mr. Clement Atangana. There's a video circulating with him gloating after his loot, or even before. You have the Constitutional Council that is partisan. They are supposed to be completely neutral, but there is huge evidence that they are partisan. So how do you come to honestly contest the fact that CPDM, for example, is just won? They haven't. It is a pre-planned or pre-orchestrated event that they planned so well. Even till today, we still have figures that don't match, figures that are mathematically impossible.
So, Michael Taki, why do you think that it is unacceptable or it is unimaginable that the CPDM should win in the northwest and southwest regions of the country? What's the problem? What's the problem you have with the results that came from those two regions?
These, Mr. Babila, I think the north and southwest regions, for about 9 years today, there is a war in these regions. In addition, there is what they call ghost town, which was declared by the so-called Amber, right? So you have this area, and even before the election, the Constitutional Council, unfortunately I don't have the figures on me, had already given a figure that is considerably low as to how many people registered in these areas. So how come that in some places, in fact, the whole of North and Southwest regions, the number of people that voted is even more than the number of people that registered? How do you fathom that? A lot of box stuffing in these areas just to ramp up the figures, and yet the government or the Constitutional Council or even ELECAM thinks it's okay. If it is okay, we also understand that Mr. Issa Chiroma Bakari, out of the 18 divisions that are the majority of the 80%, he won in all these areas. So if you have a vote out of 80%, you have more than 60% out of 80%. How come in the end you are having 30-something% in total? So the figures don't add up. The figures do not add up, and because of that, we think the very foundation of our country, Cameroon, is in dispute, and we think whatever the Constitutional Council has done is they are making our country an illegitimate country, and this is the top of the top. This is the strongest body that is supposed to maintain some level of dignity for our country. But they run our country completely down the way they have done. And I think they make Cameroonians extremely vulnerable, and I feel like our hearts have been ripped off. This is our country. and look at the body that is supposed to maintain some level of, if an institution as Constitutional Council is flawed, it automatically means that the rest of the institutions in the country have a problem. And I don't see how anybody in their right mind should think this is okay. It is not. That's why the CCFGA is saying that we are ready to work with or collaborate with civil society organizations, political parties, and anyone interested, so that we ask Mr. Biya to leave. Because this is what they have just actually done is made our country very vulnerable.
And the question many are asking now is, should we have gotten to where we are today? What is the essence? What is the essence of us being in this, of the country being in this situation today?
Yes, this is the thing. We shouldn't have got to this point, because after at the age of 92, Mr. Paul Biya has served our country. He has done his best. 43 years in power is enough. No matter, even a genius would have a rest. He should have solved this problem just so peacefully and, leave power with dignity. Mr. Biya had, the chance of restoring democracy in our country. At least a legacy that would have stood up tall in our country. But he chose to go into this election knowing fully very well that the people, even there's all the signs were showing that the people do not want him anymore. So he would have solved this problem at the beginning by saying, you know what, I have served you people very well. It is my time to rest. He is as a grandfather to some people and like a father to us. He should have just peacefully resigned and hand over power to anyone, at least even with some instruction on how to run, if at all he thinks he still can run the country very well. But for him to have stood again as a president is kind of a shame, not only to him, but the rest of the country, because we will become a laughing stock. Some may say, oh yeah, at 92, what happened? It is not just the 92. There is a lot of evidence to prove that his cognitive capacity is compromised. There's a lot of evidence. He has not been able to address the country, even during the campaigns. The president of the incumbent never, except in Marwa, he didn't come out to address the people, to campaign with some energy, just like the rest of the candidates. And yet, he is the one that is being proclaimed as a winner. So what does it take Cameroonians to be? This is like just mocking at the people. And again, going back to the Constitutional Council, they rip the heart of Cameroonians. It's very painful when you have a situation like the one that we have today. Cameroonians saw it very, very clearly that Mr. Issa Chiroma Bakari has won. This is not a guesswork. It was the plan that some of us and some other agencies had planned that this year Cameroonians have to prove using figures that Mr. Biya has not won, and they did just that. But yet, the Constitutional Council went and declared him the winner. So it is, what do you expect the people to do? Democratically, we have performed our duty. The people have come out, they have voted in their numbers, just to say, oh, we think this is a time for, Mr. Biya to rest, if he himself cannot rest. So you come on again and say they were wrong. You trample with the sovereign people of Cameroon's right, their vote. This is theft at the very highest level. A lot of people, all the people you use them all the time. It's not correct. It's morally wrong, to say the least.
I want us to go to the newsstands now, and we are taking a look at what the newspapers reported this week. This is the press. We'll be right back in a moment. The Voice reports that the announcement of President Paul Biya's victory in the October 12, 2025 presidential election by the Constitutional Council sent Cameroon weeping, wailing and mourning in street protest. The Dawn presidential election result. Biya wins amid nationwide protest. Making a reference to the presidential election result, Cameroon Tribune talks about the truth of the figures, highlighting President Paul Biya with 53.66%, followed by Issa Chiruma with a little above 35%. Cameroon Insider tells its readers how President Paul Biya won the October 12 presidential election, projecting detailed statistics of results region by region, division by division, and individual scores of the various candidates. Daily Voice, Paul Biya, winner, Chiruma, victor. The paper goes further to indicate that in the days ahead, Paul Biya, the world's oldest president at 92, will officially begin yet another 7-year mandate, cementing a reign that has now spanned an astonishing 42 years, while Issa Chiruma, whose dramatic resignation from government just weeks before the poll ignited a groundswell of support and saw him sweep key regions, now finds himself not only deprived of official victory, but also facing the Interior Minister's threat of prosecution for allegedly triggering violent riots. And amid the post-election violence, Nous reports messages of peace and calls for inclusive dialogue from the United Nations Secretary General and the European Union. The National Post, aftermath of October 12 presidential election, Chiruma, government locked in endless dog-eat-dog fight as international actors weigh in, and about what has been qualified as threats on Issa Chiruma Bakari. The Guardian Post questions how far the Minister of Territorial Administration at Tanganji can go. The Horizon newspaper questions if Cameroon is moving towards a true swearing in after the proclamation of result of the presidential election, projecting President Paul Biya's winner, while Issa Chiruma Bakari continues claiming victory. Another issue of Cameroon Tribune looks into the future of the relationship between Cameroon and the International Monetary Fund. The Guardian Post, poultry subvention to private media. Newspaper publishers president says shameful, unacceptable. Christian, who doubles as Federation of Cameroon Newspaper Publishers and Cameroon English Language Newspaper Publishers boss, warns government should stop treating the private media as an orphan, an enemy of the state. Thank you for staying with us. We are still with our guest, Michael Takiye, chairperson of the Coalition of Cameroon Federalist Groups and Activists, CCFGA, joining us from London. Michael, what's your understanding of this massive movement of persons, young people, women, children coming out on the streets? We've not seen something like this for several years in Cameroon. Even in 2018, it was not as massive as what we're having now.
Yes, thank you. I think this is this to prove to you that the people are not happy, and the people of Cameroon, they are not happy, and they are not all, they are reasonable people. They do understand that democratically they have the right to show their distrust by peacefully demonstrating. And again, this is an act of defiance, and if not because the government had started with using, with heavily armed officials trying to stop this movement, I think we would have been talking about millions of people in the streets by now. And this is going to continue. If somebody thinks that it's over, it's not over. Because the plan is for Mr. Biya to peacefully leave. He should peacefully resign and tell the people that, okay, I have done my bit. This is the end of me. He should have done that even with that by not going into the presidential election. But now we are saying that it is enough. You have to leave. So the people, this is an act of, very civilized society using the most peacefully democratic way to tell or to send a message to the regime that they are not happy after 43 years and they cannot be fooled anymore. So the government may be thinking that they're going to stop this and continue business as usual. I think this is far-fetched. It's not possible. The only possible thing here is for them to listen to the cry of the people. And the cry of the people is that they do not want this system to continue. They do not want the CPDM system to continue. They voted for someone, and that someone is Mr. Bakare, and they want him to take over power and lead them through the transition of a new Cameroon.
CCFGA,
so that's the message. Yes.
Right. CCFGA sent an open letter to the police force and the military, and that letter is a call for neutrality, the neutrality of the police and the military in the ongoing protests. But the call seems not to have fallen on deaf ears.
It is not actually only CCFGA that did that. Even before the date that was announced for the peaceful demonstration, I think Mr. Bakare had done the similar thing. So CCFGA were just reiterating what everybody already understands. But we're just making it in case the police officers, the military and the gendarme had forgotten. I think the people, we were just telling the police that you are not different from the people. The people are not criminal. They are just coming out to express their civil right, their human right, the right to peaceful demonstration. And you should, as security officials, you should protect them. You shouldn't by any means take them as your enemies. They are coming to protest in a broad daylight. So you guide and protect them because you are paid by them. The people pay the police and the military and the gendarmes through their tax or their taxes. They are not paying them to come and be killing them instead. So the CCFGA merely wrote a letter to tell them that, please, the demonstrators are your brothers and your sisters. Some of them are your cousins, and some of them are your nephews. Some of them are just your relative. Please, try your best to protect them instead. But what we saw was completely the opposite. And it's quite saddening when you have a situation where a police officer is turning an arm against a harmless citizen. It just keeps or makes everybody so vulnerable that instead of them running to the police officer or the gendarmerie or to the military for protection, they feel completely helpless because the people that are supposed to protect them are not doing their job. The military or the security officials, they are not for a single individual. They are for the sovereign people of the country. Their duty is to protect the sovereign people of the country. That sovereignty of the people is not owned by a single person, for example, Mr. Paul Biya or Minister Atanganji. The sovereignty of the people is that which is the higher authority in the land.
Right.
It is neither the president nor any minister to be or the one in power. Nobody. Only the people have the highest sovereignty.
As you indicated earlier, such calls for the neutrality of the police and the military came from other persons, several persons and groups of persons, including Project C, Project Cameroon, with veteran journalist Eric Chinje, barrister Ari Obenson, and others. But then, when you were writing this letter, did you at any point in time think that we can come to that situation where the police and the military would be standing with the people?
I think this is a very important question. The thing is this: Cameroon, the regime in Cameroon has made it, has made people to easily predict them. In 2017-18, when the people of North and Southwest regions picked up peaceful plans and protested, they ended up either being arrested, beaten, physically tortured, robbed on the mud, and even summary executions. So we know, and I can assure you, Jonathan, that today we are talking in 2025. If we were to have a similar situation next year or the year after, we will still be having this conversation, especially if we have the same regime in power, because they believe in violence. They end up in any way possible. They like to at least exercise some level of violence to intimidate the people, to bully the people, to make the people feel like they are worthless, because that is exactly what this amounts to. We knew that it will get to this point, because no matter how peaceful a demonstration is, there will always be a casualty. There will always be a situation where the military will want to exercise, or the police officers will want to show the people, I don't know, whatever they want to prove. They will want to use arms. They will want to push it to the edge, and by so doing, end up executing and killing their own people. So we knew this was going to happen. Not that we prayed for it, but we preempted it and then decided to say, remind them that please do not do that. But again, in this with this regime, what they know is force. They know force. It's something that I doubt whether it's what they teach them, but they take their orders. Instead of taking their orders from the sovereign people, they take their orders from anyone to kill. So that is exactly what happened. We preempted it, and we were not wrong. They end up killing people.
All right, let's take interviews of the week right now, and we'll be back in a moment.
The context is quite, tense politically. This comes at a time when the country seems primed for change, and I think that's what we're going through. We're looking at history in the making. The country's changing, and what we see is both resistance from those who don't want change, and a demand for change from the other side. So it's creating these very deep tensions that we have to deal with. We can either let those who are in power keep power at the expense of everybody else, or allow those who demand change to provide the kinds of resistance that inevitably end up in conflict. I'm hoping that we will avoid that. Things cannot continue the same way. Something has to give. We cannot continue to hope that a handful of people, less than 1% of the population, less than 0.1% of the population will control most of the resources of this country. It cannot be. Something has to give. And if they resist, if they continue to resist, then we all may have to pay the price. And that's what we should do our gone down best to avoid.
As you can see, all these disturbances are affecting our work. I'm supposed to finish my work at this week, that's 6 p.m. But now I'm forced to close my shop, to go out, to go home for nothing, because the law enforcement came and poured tear gas. They also shoot bullets. Some people got wounded. Some people fell with their bikes. I don't know. So we just need freedom, justice, democracy.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for staying with us. We are now looking at the question as to how the country can come out of the situation, how to take the Republic of Cameroon out of this stalemate, out of this political unrest, uncertainty, fear, and of course protest, violence and destruction, and of course the poor socio-economic situation of the country, the bad living conditions of many Cameroonians, to a better situation.
The future is in the hands of Mr. Paul Biya. The people are asking him, and we at CCFGA said this. Mr. Paul Biya, we thank you very much for the 43 years of study. It is time for you to rest. And that is part of what would solve this problem. We want him to peacefully resign, so as to stop the protests that are going on and hand over power to the rightful winner of this election. Mr. Issa Chiroma Bakari has called for a ghost town, and he is the one that the people will know with evidence that he won at the polling stations. So he is the one actually controlling the people right now. And part of this control is just to tell the regime or the incumbent that the people voted for him and he is their president. He's called for a ghost town. This is something that the CCFGA cannot control. We are, at the point of CCFGA, we are neutral in the sense that whoever is doing the right thing according to the people, that is where we belong. We are for the people. And the people have decided that Mr. Issa Chiroma Bakari is their president. Mr. Issa Chiroma Bakari, in return, has said, you have given me the power and I am using the power to tell the regime or to ask you to maintain ghost town as part of the process of evicting Mr. President, Mr. Paul Biya. And these peaceful the demonstrations and ghost town, they are not coming from the CCFGA. They are highly, I would say, centralized, and they're coming from Mr. Chiroma's team, Mr. Bakari's team. The future of Cameroon right now, to an extent, depends on the reaction or depends on the behavior of Mr. Paul Biya. He is the one who needs to decide. And I think if I were to be on his side, I would say, you have run this country for 43 years. It would be a good thing for you to leave it in peace, to keep it in peace than in pieces. It would be a legacy for you to leave it in one piece. And this is the time.
Right. The Minister of Territorial Administration, the Governor of the Littoral Region, and other government authorities have repeatedly said that the situation across the National Triangle, in the littoral region and elsewhere, is under control, under the control of the administration. So as of now, the administration is still in charge. I'm talking about what you said earlier about Issa Chiroma Bakari being in control of the people. Well, the government says it is still in charge. It is still running the nation as of now. You're saying that the President of the Republic should step aside. Will that be the solution at this point?
I can guarantee you absolutely yes. If Mr. Biya had not run into this election, we would not be here today. We would have had a situation that is democratically handled. And I still believe, based on the public view, based on our, based on the polls, I still believe that he is the one holding the key to peace in Cameroon. If Mr. Biya were to able or to call his people and say, enough is enough, I've done my best, this is me, I'm gone, Cameroon would not have such a bleak future as we are at the moment. Because as it is, we have a case where Mr. Issa Chiroma Bakari is saying he is the rightful winner, and truly so, with evidence. This is the thing, with evidence, figures, to prove that he is the rightful winner. On the other hand, we have the Constitutional Council declaring Mr. Biya as the winner. So this is, to resolve this problem, the problem lies on Mr. Biya alone. Should he say, this is enough, I'm gone, there will be peace.
Right. I wanted to send a message to Cameroonians now. As the chairperson of the CCFGA, what do you tell Cameroonians to do at this point in time?
Thank you very much, Mr. Binata. The first, I would start by saying that, please, the military and those who have been arrested, please, freedom. These are politically motivated times, and people should not be arrested, people should not be killed, people should not be locked up for merely expressing their views about what they think. In a civilized society, that's what you expect. You cannot silence people and silence their minds. That is not possible. Let people go and stop killing people. And to Cameroonians, brothers and sisters, these are high time. You went and expressed your civil right. You voted, and this is the time to protect your votes. We shall be following up activities from the President-elect, Mr. Issa Chiroma Bakari. He has called for a ghost town, for you to stay at home, so that you are protected from the military that have been going along in the streets and killing people. This will help you. Please, stay at home. And let us keep asking Mr. Biya to leave. We should also ask the regime to stop intimidating people and respect people's democratic right. Thank you.
All right, I should indicate that as of now, the President-elect of the Republic of Cameroon is Paul Biya, as according to the results published or proclaimed by the Constitutional Council. Michael Taki, before you go, maybe you should respond to this concern of many Cameroonians who are saying that you people are abroad and asking them to protest here. Why don't you come down to Cameroon, to Yaoundé, to Douala, to Bafoussam, to Bamenda, Boya, and protest with them?
Yeah, I think we have had these questions before. Personally, speaking right here, I think I am not a protest. I was at the Cameroon High Commission on that Monday, when I think Tuesday, when they called, when Mr. Bakari called for peaceful protest. There are videos of me at the Cameroon High Court. So I always do my own bit that I can. I don't just say things. I say things that I very, very much empathize with. I say things that are very, very much reasonable. And to say the least, anything that is violent, I don't subscribe to. I don't subscribe to violence in any way, but I follow my own democratic right. It is my right to protest. If I were in Cameroon, of course I would. Anywhere that I am, and I also want to tell Cameroonians that those of us who are in the diaspora, it doesn't mean that this doesn't affect us. It indeed affects us even sometimes more than what they can see, because we see and hear quite a lot of things that some of them may not necessarily know. But this is our country. Cameroon is our country. Wherever we are, it doesn't mean that we are because we're out of Cameroon, Cameroon is out of us. We are not out. Cameroon is not out of us. We are Cameroonians wherever we are. And like I said, I demonstrated here in the UK. I went to the Cameroon High Court. So it is not only when I'm in Cameroon that I will demonstrate. And under normal circumstances, I know they are saying all this because of frustration on how they are being handled in Cameroon. But we don't ask them to go out there in anticipation that this is what is going to happen. Unfortunately, this is what happens. And we have always condemned the fact that they should be allowed to protest. They should be allowed to demonstrate peacefully, just like we do here. And if the security officials in Cameroon were like the ones we have here, we wouldn't be having this comparison. So the whole intention is not for people to go and get harmed in any way, or to put people in harm's way. It's just to tell them that we will do our best wherever we are to demonstrate that we are together, and this is what we do. So thank you.
Thanks so much. Michael Takiye, chairperson of the Coalition of Cameroon Federalist Groups and Activists, CCFGA. Thank you for the insights you've shared with us in this edition of the program.
Thank you.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. That's it for today. God bless Cameroon. Goodbye.